I guess I'll have to start doing resets all the time. I don't know. It's reset central in here all the time. I can't say like anything out of the way anymore without getting a damn violation. It's ridiculous. Oh, good lord. Well, here we go again, I guess. Damn, damn, damn. Oh, they just showered me with them restrictions these days. Round two, and within half an hour. Didn't even take half an hour that time. Jeez Louise. Yeah, we learn, hey, what's up? Not sorry, love mama. Nice to see you too. Well, we learned so far that some people just don't, aren't, they hear what they want to hear, basically. So let's put it that way. Some of these folks just hear what they fucking want to hear. I'm not interested in talking to them. Not for long, anyway. We'll try, because some people you do got to dig in there hard. Other people, you can dig and dig and dig. You'll never get to the bottom of whatever the hole you're digging is. So fuck it. Fuck it. We'll move on then. Well, we'll just move on after that. Can't believe they're giving me 2 for that, though. I guess I don't know. Might as well just accept that's probably what this channel will be from now on. Is reset after reset. We'll see though. Maybe we'll get a guest here. Let's see. Hey Gamma, you there?
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, doing good, man. Are you a Christian or a BHI?
I am, yes. I am.
Cool. So which one of the topics you want to talk about up here?
I want to talk about the topic that's posted. So I see. I'm a little different. I can understand the view of people when they read the Old Testament. There's a lot that went on in the Old Testament. There are a lot of questions. Why did God allow this and why did God allow that? So I found out that a lot of things that happened in the Old Testament was unfair. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
And I agree with that. See, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh no, uh, you know, everything was fair and oh well, like it just happened, so just accept it. No, I am a Christian that I understand that things that happened in the Old Testament were not fair. They were not what we expect things to be like. But then when I read the Old Testament and I found it a lot of things to be unfair, when I read the New Testament, I understood something that unfairness was paid through when Jesus came and died for the world. That was unfair too. That was also not fair. So then I balanced it out. So, okay, so it wasn't fair that things happened in the Old Testament, but it also wasn't fair that God's Son has to come down and die for a world that sinned against Him. That wasn't fair either.
Yeah, I mean, well, wouldn't it have been cool if God would have just been cool from the beginning and wouldn't have had to like do human sacrifice blood rituals to
I
fix the
agree.
problem?
Yeah. I agree. I don't. I'm like unfortunately like I have tried to like understand why God did what He did, and I have
That
asked
tells you
like
why I did it.
why did He do it?
It depends on what we're talking about, but it usually gives the reason that like there's no mysteries on why God did this stuff. It just did it for shit reasons, and people try to
Yeah.
like if you're already a Christian, you wonder like how could God do something like that? Like that's the mystery. Unfortunately, it tells you why He did something like that, so it just leaves you to basically wonder then like why is God such a piece of crap? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, it's it's complicated because okay, it's this is like the way that I can only give my input on how I see it. Okay, although I don't agree with the way he did it, that's what defense do I have? You know, asking the one who created me why he did what he did, if that makes sense. Like, I don't
Well,
feel
I
like
mean,
I
why
have
wouldn't
that
you
right.
ask that?
Well, you could ask, but if God created you and I, then what power do we have to demand from Him and say, "Hey, why do you do it this way?" You know what I
How
mean?
do I know he created me? My parents birthed me. They raised me. They spent the time and the money and trouble on me. Like God was completely absent during 100% of my life. So I mean, why should I think God created me and I owe him anything?
You think He was absent?
I know he was absent. He's imaginary.
No, He wasn't absent. He's been there.
His absence.
Yeah, he's
He
been
didn't
there.
do anything.
The fact that you're still here, alive, healthy, you know you're not 6 feet under. The like the fact that that God has saved you from a lot of or almost life and death experiences. I think that means that he's been he's been present. I mean he probably
All that can
had
happen whether God's real or not.
yeah. I
I can
mean
be
but
healthy without God. Plenty of people eat right and exercise and they just have good genetics, so they're healthy anyway. God has nothing to do with any of that.
right, right. I mean, yeah, some people are healthy, some are not, but I mean, I wouldn't I mean, listen, if that's your opinion that God has never been present, you have the right to think that, but I think otherwise. I think that he's always been there with you
Well,
ever
even if
since.
he has, I've
Mhm.
still read the book, and there's no quality about this God that I find admirable. In fact, I think he's a complete evil psychopath. So, I mean, I
Okay.
just don't like, I see no reason at all to worship this God, man. I don't think you should either. This is a
Okay.
horrible, horrible deity. It does horrible things to people for almost no reason at all, and sometimes for no reason at all.
So so basically you kind of based all this information I would assume on the Old Testament, right?
Well, there's bad stuff in the New Testament too.
Can you name me some things in in the New Testament that are bad? Like, you know,
Yeah, God kills what's their names? Sephora and
or the husband and wife,
yeah, he killed them for apparently lying and keeping a little bit of the money and not giving it all to the church.
right? Right. I d- I, I, I did read that. Yes, yes, he did that. Uh, do you know why he did that?
Yeah, because they kept some of their money.
Right, but I mean, do you kind of can you kind of say like what's your opinion on why God chose to do it that way?
Because he's a piece of crap. He's killing people.
He's killing.
They sold a bunch of property, gave a whole bunch of money, and kept a little bit. And God told them they was lying about it, so he killed them for not giving up all their money. He
Yeah,
couldn't
but
check them down for every single shekel they had, so he killed them. Like that's messed up.
yeah, but I mean, the issue wasn't the money because God doesn't need money. He's the
You could
owner of
call it the
money.
lies. They can say he lied. So God killed him for lying about keeping some of their money. Like,
Right,
I mean, it's still horrible either way you look at it. They didn't
right,
deserve to
right,
die for that.
right. Well, I
Like he
mean,
kills Herod which one? Herod Antipas would have been the one I think it was. He kills Herod for not immediately telling a crowd of idiots that he's not God.
yeah,
That's in the New Testament too.
it is in New Testament. Yes, I read that too. Yeah, I read
Mm-hmm.
that too. The reason why I have so the what I have read is the reason why God does what he did is because people lack something. People lack fear of God. People, and when there's no fear, they do whatever they want when they want it, and it's an issue because then other people suffer when people don't have fear of God, like they commit murder, they
Yeah, God spent the entire Old Testament trying to get people to fear Him, and He seemed to be pretty bad at it.
well, yeah. It says that the
Well, sure.
beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. But I mean, listen, I mean, your title, man. I just pray that one day you can not see God as this, evil God that wants to like just like destroy. Like I said, in the Old
Give me a
Testament.
reason to.
Well, it's like I said earlier. The Old Testament does have a lot of things that happen that, listen, many of us are like, whoa, like wow, this seems pretty harsh. But then when you compare what his son went through on that cross, man, like that was harsh too. So it's like, that was pretty. He didn't just die on the cross. He was tortured. He was tortured like no one else
Yeah,
have been.
Rome tortured
Yeah.
1 to 300,000 people in the same way they did Jesus. There was nothing unique about that. Like a lot of people were crucified in Rome.
Right. But now, would you? How would you feel if your son has to be tortured for my sins, for what I did wrong?
Uh, you mean why did God have to torture His own Son?
No, I mean he didn't. Well, mind you, that's exactly my point. That seems like it's not fair, right? Like, why does God have to send His son down so he can suffer?
Because He's a psychopath.
So that's kind of my point. So people say, well, the Old Testament is not fair, but it wasn't fair either that His son had to suffer for you.
No, none of these are good qualities. Like you're making it worse. I know you're trying to make it better, but you're making
I'm
it
just,
worse.
yeah, no, I'm trying just to see. I get, like, like I
You're
said,
like God's a piece of crap. So to fix the problem, He killed His own Son and tortured him. Like what? This
no, no,
isn't a
no,
good case, man.
no, no, no. I mean, he didn't just send his son to be killed and just to be tortured. It it's it's an act of love. So basically, oh well, God is so evil. Yes, it's evil. Okay, but if
So
he's
it's
so
like I love you, and that's why I have to torture and kill you now.
no, no, he's like, well, God is so evil, but yet how can God be evil if he sent his only son
How
to
can
take?
God be evil if He tortured and killed His own Son?
Well, I mean,
Good
well,
question.
I mean, he didn't torture and kill his own son.
It was
He-
His plan. He's the one
he-
that set it in motion. He's the one that had the plan executed.
yeah,
It was
did you
definitely God.
did you know that did you know something? Did you know that God didn't really that God didn't say, "Hey, son, I'm gonna send you down there so that you can be killed and tortured." Did you know that Jesus said, "For no one takes my life, I give it." It was the son that he offered himself.
No, no. Jesus begged God not to do that to him, and God did it anyway. Jesus begged Him. He cried blood. He was terrified. He says, "Please remove this cup from me, this burden that you placed on me." But He
Right,
said, "Do your will and
right,
not mine." So it was
right.
not Jesus's will. It was God's will. Jesus begged Him not to do it, and He still did it. Just like David begged Him not to unalive his infant son, but God still unalived his infant son.
Right.
This
So
guy's a
then,
murderer, man. He kills children arbitrarily. Like he just takes life. He don't give a shit. It's willy nilly.
right. So do you can I ask you a question? Do you believe that God is the I mean, although you don't have to like him, but I'm saying, do you think that he is the creator?
No, I know He's not the creator.
Okay. So if you don't think that he is created, that would explain why you feel the way you feel, because then the unfairness would seem a lot more real. But if you believe that he is the creator of human beings, then that would kind of help, because then, okay, although you find it unfair, but he who creates something has the power and the authority to do what he wants with his creation. So although it
Doesn't
might
make
not.
it good.
No, it doesn't make it good, but it doesn't make it good, but it how can the creation complain to the creator?
Just
It's
like I'm doing it right now. It's pretty easy, actually.
but but I thought you said that you don't believe that he is a creator,
I don't. I'm not a Christian.
right? So it's like, but I
But
get you.
we have
Listen,
this book that's telling us he created stuff. It's
yeah,
telling us
sure.
he murders a whole bunch of people, including infants. So, I mean, it's right here written in black and white. I don't have to believe it
It
to
is. It
have the
is.
words on the page.
Now, do you believe that these infants go to heaven?
No,
Okay. So you don't believe in heaven?
no.
Okay. Well, that
And
that's
I
better.
certainly don't believe that God destroying the wicked means they get to go to heaven.
Yeah. Well, man, I pray that one day you had said that you was a Christian before, like years ago.
Yeah, I was a Christian for over 20 years.
Oh wow, man, that's pretty. That's a long time.
It's a pretty good while. I would have ended it quicker if I would have thought about it, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've known people that have been a Christian for years, and then they don't want to know God, and they don't want to know about God. And not that it's your case, but the majority of the people that I know that have done that, it's because something happened that made them angry with God. Something happened.
I got real mad at God when I read he was having babies' brains bashed out. That don't bother you?
But for the 20 years that you served him, why did it take you so long to to think that way?
Those stories seem to have eluded me in whole there.
So
Not
you
to mention the few bad ones I knew about, I just made excuses for, just like Christians do now. Like, oh, they were being really mean and sinning. Well, I
right,
just
right.
thought of it that way. But when you actually question it, like, he's bashing babies' brains out. He's having pregnant women ripped open and put to the sword. He is having children slaughtered in the street. He's making the Israelites eat their own children. Like, there's nothing good about this. This God is awful. I mean, that's horrible, horrible stuff.
Yeah.
He allowed slavery, war captives, commanded grape. I mean, it's as bad as it gets. I mean, think of the worst shit you can think of, and this God is doing it over
I
and over and
get you.
over again.
But my question would be, if he was so awful, then if God is so awful, then why would you be serving him for 20 years if he was so
Because
awful?
I didn't know he was awful. It was shown to me that he was awful. I was like most Christians. I read the Bible some, but I rarely read the Old Testament, if ever.
Right.
And I just made excuses, just like you're doing anytime some of this stuff comes up.
No, it's not. Listen, I'm not saying that the things. See, I'm not denying that these things happen. If he knows, I'm not saying
Yeah,
no,
but
God
you're
didn't do that.
serving. Yeah, but you're actually, that's even worse to me, honestly, because
Yeah.
you're serving a God that you know is committing atrocities and evil. Like, that's not good, man. Like, I would prefer you be like, hell, I didn't know it was in there. Like,
No,
but like,
God is
you're
not.
scaring me even a little worse when you know this kind of stuff is in there and you still choose to serve this God because
Well,
that's just
because
weird.
you right. Well, because I don't only live by the Old Testament. I read both the Old and the New Testament. So
Yeah, but you're still serving the God that has women raped en masse. Like, that's not good. Like, he does human sacrifice, chattel slavery. Like, none of this is good qualities. None of this is even kind of admirable to me.
right.
It's horrible.
So do you believe that God is an evil God?
Yeah.
And
In fact,
my
I know God is an evil God because he has infants, babies, tiny toddlers. He has their brains bashed out, literally.
Mhm. Well, if I mean, I don't know what to say because you don't believe in heaven, so I can't even it
Dude,
it
even if I did believe in heaven, I don't want to go there. I do not want to be trapped in eternity with the same place as this deity
okay, okay. So you
or the
mhm,
slave driving followers that worship him.
right, right. So the New Testament basically is not is the New Testament is not going to convince you. It's you're just going to just go with the Old Testament or what happened on the Old Testament.
Well, yeah. Like, why would I forgive God for bashing thousands of babies' brains out because there's a New Testament of the Bible?
Because
That
he
don't make no
forgives.
sense at all. That's like
Right.
saying I'm gonna worship Adolf Schmittler
Hmm.
because he built hospitals and did the German people good, but forget about the 6 million innocent people that he murdered and the hundreds of thousands of others that died in the war he started. Like, it's
Right.
crazy, man. Why? No,
I get you,
I'm
but I'm
good.
saying how it's complicated. I know, but how can a human being forgive the one who the creator? I mean, if anything, he forgives us. I mean, we're the one that sinned against him. Like, do we not
What?
lie,
What
cheat?
do I need forgiveness for? I didn't bash any baby's brains out.
Yeah, man.
I didn't have women raped en masse. I didn't rip pregnant women open. That's what God did.
Yeah. Well, most of these things happen for the consequence of sin of evil. God wasn't doing these things because he seeks pleasure in it. Most of these things happen because of the result of the evil of the people. And evil has consequence. Unfortunately, you know, evil has
Yeah, and the
punishment.
consequence of God doing evil is I'm not worshiping an evil God.
Yeah. Well, I pray that one day you can change your mind, man, because he's not as
Don't pray for me. I'm not serving this deity here. I pray that
he's
you
not.
find reason one day and don't serve a deity that you know is pure evil. This is
No.
crazy, man.
a a God that can send his own son to die for me to take my place, man, that's love, man.
Yeah, a God that would torture and kill his own
Yeah.
son. That's love. I'm
Because
telling you.
I should have been. Do you believe that you should
Do,
have been on that
do you
cross or
hear the
no?
word? Do you hear those words when they come out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Do they sound right to you?
Do you think that you deserve to be on that cross?
What?
Do
I
you
don't deserve to
think
be on a cross. I
right?
didn't.
But so
I didn't commit sedition against Rome.
right, I'm saying, do you consider yourself as a sinner or no?
No,
So
no.
you're all right. Well, then there's
What's
no
sin?
reason.
According to the Bible, not killing people for enticing you to other gods is sin.
Yeah. I mean, this sin brings death, and I mean, sin brings death.
No, not sin brings death because if you don't sin, you're killing other people. Literally.
Man. So you don't believe that you are a sinner,
No. According to the
which
Bible, I'm a sinner because I refuse to unalive somebody that entices me to other gods. I don't think they deserve to die for that.
okay,
In fact, I think it would be horrible to unalive somebody just for asking you if you're interested in other gods.
gotcha. I mean, listen, if you don't consider yourself to be a sinner, then you will not feel any conviction. So that therefore and only God can deal with you at that at that moment, because I mean we are all sinners. I mean, we're not perfect.
What's God going to do? Punish me for calling him out for having women raped?
No, God doesn't want to punish you. God wants to give you eternal life, but you said that you don't want it.
I
You said
don't
that
want it.
you don't want eternal life. So you
Yeah, and
rather.
God's not going to give it to me. According to the book, I can't even go back if I want to because I've committed blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which is an unforgivable sin, and also I've fallen away from the faith, which means it's impossible to be brought back
Well, I mean,
to
God.
repentance. So I couldn't go back if I wanted to, but I definitely don't want to.
So you would rather not be in eternal life with an everlasting God and you would rather be lost for eternity.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's tough, man. As
I would rather be set on fire for the rest of eternity than pretend this God is loving for even a single day.
man.
because I have an actual conscience and conviction, and I'm not turning a blind eye to women being raped en masse,
Mm.
infants being murdered en masse for no reason, innocent infants at that. Like, to call this love is just beyond crazy to me, man. It really is.
I get you. That's that's listen. You're entitled to your own thoughts and your own opinions. We if
Yeah, it's my opinion
again,
that having women raped that are completely innocent of why they're being raped for any reason, really is pure evil.
yeah, but just evil doesn't come from God. Evil. God is not trying to. Uh,
Evil
uh,
does come from God because God is doing evil.
no, God's not doing evil, man.
Yes, he
No,
is. You don't think having women raped is evil?
I think that God did things for whatever reason He did it. Although I might not agree. Listen, I'm not saying that I don't agree. I'm
I'll
saying
tell you why he did it. It's not a mystery. It just depends on which time you're talking about. He has 10 of David's wives raped because David committed adultery with another woman. So, for whatever reason, God decided 10 innocent women needed to be raped for this, and he unalives an innocent baby. There's another time over here in Isaiah where God uses Babylon to destroy Israel, and then he punishes Babylon for having destroyed Israel when he's the one that used them to do it. So he has a whole bunch of women in Babylon raped and a bunch of babies' brains bashed out for doing what God told them to do. Like, if you don't think this is evil, you should really be separated from society, most likely.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't think that God bashed children just because he wanted to. Again, it's I don't. I'm not saying that
You
I
want me
don't.
to read it to you?
No, no. I'm not saying that I don't agree with the things that happen, but my thought, m- my definition of creator is this: if God created these children, then who am I to tell them what to do and how to do it? You know what I mean? Like, if He is the creator, and if He wants to do things the way He wants, how am I going to question God if I am His creation?
Just
Although
like
I
I'm
might not
doing right now.
agree. I mean, I don't
You
listen.
call mofos out for having women raped for no reason?
Well, I mean, there was a reason. It wasn't that there was no reason.
Yeah, I told you the reason.
It was because there was sin.
Yeah,
It
but
was
not
because there
their
was
sin. They were completely innocent. He's having innocent women raped, man. Completely
where's
innocent
this?
people being raped for something they didn't do.
Can you show me where is this at in the Bible?
Yeah, I can.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So let's use this one first. 2 Samuel chapter 12. Thus says the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will
Mhm.
take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in broad daylight. So in chapter 16, David's son Absalom launches a coup against David and literally on top of a building in the sight of all of Israel,
Mhm.
rapes 10 of David's wives right there on top of the building on God's order.
Now, did you read why he did it?
Because David committed adultery with Bathsheba.
And he had her husband killed.
Yeah.
So, does that not bring consequence, or do you just want God to
Hey,
just
hey,
ignore everything?
hey, what did any one of those 10 women who got raped, who did they commit adultery with, or who did they murder?
No one, but it shows you.
Right. They were
But it,
completely innocent of the sin that they are being fucking raped for, dude.
but yeah, but it shows you the seriousness of the consequence of sin.
It shows you that God is perfectly willing to have innocent women raped for what someone else did. If that's love or justice, then I'm the fucking Pope, dude. And if you're
Well,
going to argue that this is somehow justified,
no, I'm not
you
saying
really
that, but
do need help, man. You're in a
but
cult. I'm
but
telling you.
wasn't her husband innocent?
No, he's the one that committed the sin.
No,
Why
I'm
not
I'm
punish
saying
him?
when David sent out to kill her husband, did he deserve to die?
Yeah, he unalived another guy He committed adultery, which the penalty for is death, and he actually raped Bathsheba, which is also a penalty of death.
No,
So if anything was just here, David would have been unalived for his own sin, not 10 women who had nothing to do with it.
well, that's in other words, that's the best answer I can give you is, God was showing David, that he takes sin very serious, and just like he sent her
He
husband.
takes it so serious that completely innocent people just raped to pieces for it. Yeah.
Again, David sent out her husband to get killed. Was that he was innocent, right?
Listen, do you understand that these women were completely innocent of the sexual assault and violation of their bodies they incurred, right? Right?
I get you, man. Yeah, yeah. It's we're on you know we're on a unfortunately, I'm not saying that I believe that what God did was the right thing. But again, I don't dare to question the one who created these women. If he created these women, then who are we to say what he gets to do with them? You know what I
Gamma,
mean?
Gamma, can I? Because I think this is a problem of empathy here. So if we could just adjust the scenario for a moment so that it resonates with you maybe a little bit more. If you were married and your wife went out and had an affair with another man, right? And God, in order to punish your wife so that she could feel what it feels like to have, to have someone commit an affair, uh, decided that the proper judgment would be not to punish your wife, but to have the wife of this other man put on a large strap on and come and peg you for 3 hours against your will. Would that be fair for you to be violated for 3 hours against your will in order to show your wife what it feels like to have someone else have sexual intercourse with someone that you care about?
I wouldn't. In my human nature, I will not find it fair. And that's being honest. I will not find it fair. Like I can't sit here and say, oh no, no, that's fair. I will not find it fair. You're right about that.
Why do you think it was very easy for you to say you wouldn't find that fair?
Mhm.
But you've been saying for several minutes now, several different reasons for why, uh, it was understandable for God to have these 10 women raped.
Well, I didn't say that it was understandable. I've been saying for a whole lot of time that I don't find, as a human being, I don't find them fair. I don't find them fair, even to this day. But then the question resonates in my mind. If I believe that God is the creator and that he created men and women, then who am I to question the ways that he has? Like, who am I to say, hey, God, don't do it this way, do it that way? Because, like, I don't think I have that right. Now, I
Okay.
could question and I can find it unfair, yeah, but I wouldn't hate God because at the end of the day, he is the guy who created these women. And if he chooses to do that, then that's his choice. Who am I to say, oh God, you're evil and I hate you now because of what you did? And
All
then
right. So Cameron,
yeah.
let me ask you, because I just, I understand why you're saying what you're saying, but I just want to, I'm going to press it a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, so let's say you opened up your Bible to Deuteronomy 46, which doesn't exist. And in Deuteronomy 46, it says, if you disobey me, I will take small daggers and push them into your skin a half an inch 60 times a second for the rest of your life. Right. So for 80 years, 60 times a second, you're going to have small daggers driven a half inch into your body. You're going to be in extreme pain, torturous pain for the entirety of your existence. Would that be fair?
Do I find that fair? No, I don't think that would be fair.
Okay. Would you be like, man, God, that can't be right. Something's wrong here.
Yeah.
God can't do that.
I can give you an answer for that.
Mhm.
For that, if I were to read that exactly the way that you said it,
Mhm.
right? If I'm the reader and I've read that, do you know what that would cause? That will cause for me to understand, don't play with God. Don't sin. Because if I'm reading this, I'm going to say, wait a minute. Why would I want to suffer that way? Therefore, let me not disobey God. Let me not sin. Let me not do evil, which is the
Okay.
reason why God allowed these things to happen.
Okay. So
It,
Gamma,
it was
Gamma.
because people had a problem with fearing God.
Okay.
They
So Gamma.
Mhm.
So let me adjust it a little bit. Now the text says, even if you obey me and do everything right, I might still do this to you if I feel like it.
Well, that'd be different.
Okay. So you would say at that point, um, something's wrong here. This can't be God. There must be something wrong with the text because God couldn't do that.
If there was something written say, even if you do obey me, then I would do this, then I would question uh, a lot more. But can you show me anywhere in the Bible where God says if you obey me, you will suffer like this?
So
No, in the
just so
Bible.
we're clear,
Hmm.
if you want me to show you a place where somebody does everything right and lives a righteous life, and because of that, God tortures them.
Who his son?
No.
Job.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the story of Job?
Job. Yes, Job. Yes.
Okay. There you go.
So Job did everything right,
Yep.
and Satan goes
He
up
was
to
upright and blameless in the sight of the Lord.
yes, and so Satan goes to God and say, hey, why don't you remove the hedge around him and see how he curses you, right?
Hmm.
So then God allows Satan to take his children and take his cattle and give him leprosy, right?
Hmm.
And but Job was a righteous man.
Hmm.
So why do you think God allowed that?
Sorry. Just so we're clear, did I show you an example?
You did. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So yes. So concerning Job,
Ew.
once Job lost everything that he had lost,
Huh?
did God not give them double?
Does that make it okay?
But does that make it wrong?
Does it make it okay? Is the question I'm asking you.
It doesn't make it right if I unalive 10 of your children and just give you 20 other children. No, the 10 children still got taken. Like, he didn't get those 10 back.
I think what we're dealing with is with again, I'm gonna just say my opinion. I completely can understand what you guys are saying. Like I have uh within my walk, I have found things not to be unfair. I can't sit here and say whatever God does is fair, and I just, oh well, like, no, I'm a human being. Like, I can see the unfairness. I could, but I think that the difference here is the amount of fear I have for God as his being so sovereign, I cannot demand from him for him to change his ways, because at the end of the day, he is a creator.
Right. So, Gamma, I just want you went from no way, there's no way that could be God. God couldn't do that. In a span of 2 minutes, you went to, yeah, he could. And
Well,
that
I
would
mean,
be a,
I
right?
mean,
Right. But you see
who,
that, right?
right? But I'm saying, who am I to
Right.
change God's mind?
Right. So, Gamma, what I'm saying is that in your mind, there isn't anything that God could do that would make you say, that's wrong.
You're absolutely right.
God could come down here, right? And torture as many innocent people as he wanted in your mind
Mm-hmm.
for their entire lifetime. He just torture them.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have to say, yeah, who am I?
I would probably disagree, but my disagreement will not make me hate God, because at the end of the day, he's in charge, man.
So let me
What
ask
would
you,
make you hate God?
oh yeah, good.
I mean, he's in charge. I mean, if I build this building, who are you to tell me what am I going to use? How am I going to build it? Where am I going to put it? I mean, I'm the builder. I am the creator.
Well,
So,
I'm just asking you, what would God have to do to make you say, you know what, this is too far across the line? Because I mean, mass rape and murder don't seem to do it. So I mean,
well,
I'm just curious,
that
what would God be doing to cross the line in your mind to make you say, never mind?
that's exactly a good point. Well, I don't think anything would cross my mind, because I understand that he created me. He created every human being. So I don't, I cannot say, oh God, I don't like what you did. So I'm not, so now I hate you. I can't do that, because even though I don't agree with his ways, I'm in a position to question my creator. It
So,
really is.
but Gamma, like, I think the point here is that you would do it with any other God, right? If I bring up another holy text
Mm-hmm.
about another deity and I show you an action that that deity does that like you immediately recognize as shitty behavior, you'd be like, that's shitty behavior that that God did. It wouldn't matter that in the narrative that God created the human.
Mm-hmm.
If I showed you stuff that Marduk did after creating humans, or that Enki did after creating humans, um, that was shitty, like you'd very easily call it out, right?
If I believe that that same creator, created me as he created those people, and if the creator decided to do what he wanted with them, I will not question. No,
Okay,
because
so let's just I just want to walk this through and then I'll mute up. So it's moral that God said you can own people as property and pass them on as inheritance.
is it moral?
Yeah.
And you are referring to the Old Testament?
Yep.
Okay. Do I agree that it's moral in today's time? No, I don't
No,
agree that
no,
that
no,
was
no.
moral.
Gamma. It was moral
Mhm.
that God was not doing anything wrong when he said you can own other people as property and pass them on as inheritance.
If that's the way God wants to do things, I mean, what
Okay.
he
So God that okay, we're good. So it was moral when God said, when you go unalive all the men of a city
Mhm.
and you take their women and children as captives, and you're walking back toward your home and you see among the captives a beautiful woman and you want her as a wife, you can have her. That was moral.
I again, I don't agree with certain things, but let me ask you, what's your name? Joshua, right?
Mhm.
Do you?
We call him Joshua.
Oh, Joshua. Do
No,
do
we
do
tell
you?
he's just fucking with you.
I know. Do you think
No, we really do.
a Joshua? Do you consider yourself to be a sinner?
I mean, sorry, I'm trying to understand your question. You
Sure.
mean by my lights? No, I don't think sin exists.
Okay, okay. Because I was gonna ask you, do you think it's moral that the Son of God come down and take your place on the cross that you deserved?
No, that's not moral.
You know, so that wasn't fair either. You know what I mean? So it's like everything that people have to say about the Old Testament, but no one speaks about the sacrifice and what the Son came down and did. So it's unfair of what happened in the Old Testament, but when Jesus comes down and dies for the whole world, oh, that's nothing. That's no big deal.
Right, but I think that's just a tu quoque fallacy.
So every doubt that you have or any okay, like, oh, this is crazy what happened in the Old Testament, fine, but then you see a God that sends his only son, his innocent son, to take your place, your punishment that you deserved. So that wasn't fair. But yeah, he
Right, I
did
think
it.
it's shitty all around.
But yeah, he
Shitty
did
all
it
around.
Yeah.
because he loves you. But you don't believe that. You don't
Wait,
believe God loves you.
why do you? Yeah, but why do you think we deserve to be tortured and crucified on a cross?
Because well, I'm not saying that you deserve to be
What
tortured,
did we do to
crucified.
deserve that fate?
Well, okay, I don't deserve. I don't think that all human beings deserve to be specifically tortured on a cross. What happened was that sin, the consequence of sin is death, right? Like we see that throughout the whole Old Testament. It's if
Not
you
throughout the
sin,
whole Old Testament,
well,
just
I
some
mean,
of it.
like most of it. If there were certain sins
Like
that
sometimes you can just pay a fine or like give up
right,
some flour or a goat. And you're
right,
good. You're
right.
forgiven.
But I don't believe that everyone should be tortured on a specifically on a cross. But what I'm saying is symbolically, we deserve death. We deserve because we left God. We do evil things, and yet we blame God. And hold on, like we have inclinations that are evil, but yet we say,
What did you do that was evil that you deserve to be crucified for?
well, I don't. I mean, listen, I'm a sinner. I lie. I cheat. Um, have
What do
I
you
looked at?
cheat at?
Yeah. Have I looked at a woman lustfully? Yes, and that's called adultery.
Do you cheat on your wife, or do you mean you like cheat at poker?
No, no, I don't cheat on my wife, but I'm a man, right? So okay, so I'm not perfect.
You said you cheat.
Have it?
Like you don't cheat people like out of money or anything, do
No,
you?
no, no,
Are you a
no,
robber?
no.
Are
I'm
you
not
a
a
mugger?
robber, but I'm a liar. I have in my life I have
Have you
taken
stolen a
something.
vehicle?
I have not stolen a vehicle, but I've stolen other things.
Like
So
what?
a thief is a thief regardless if you steal a dollar. It doesn't matter.
Well,
You
what'd you
know.
steal?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to get into those things, but but I'm saying, I consider myself that I've done
It's
evil.
between you and God, right?
Yeah, like I've done evil.
This
So,
motherfucker probably stole a candy bar when he was a kid or
yeah.
something.
But listen, listen. I respect all of your, it is what it is. I hear you guys out, and I can admit that there are things that I see unfair in the Old Testament. But when I see what happens in the New Testament, it makes up for what the unfairness that I see in the Old Testament. When I see how God loved me so much that He sent His only innocent Son to take my place, where the of my place of the punishment that I deserved, man, that's
Yeah, we
love.
got you.
Yeah,
We
and
got you,
if
buddy. Well,
you
all
know,
right. Well, thanks, Gambit. You've been
thanks,
great
man.
to talk to, but we're gonna move on and talk to
Thank you. All right, you gotta be
Boston
safe.
suburb here. But yeah, you should probably really think about it, man. Like, I mean, if you think grape and schmurder is love, then there's some serious reassessment that needs to be done here. So, So, Richie, what's up, man? What do you got for us today?
What's up, bro? You remember me from yesterday, bro? Or the day before yesterday?
Yeah, it just popped in my head a minute ago, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was able to convert you and stuff like that, man. I'm glad I was able
That's
to.
right. You were the only intelligent guest of the entire day.
But I actually had a question for Joshua though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey,
All right, so you remember you was talking to him about the part where it said about the slaves and passing them down.
hmm
Are you familiar with the slave Bible?
I am.
So did you know like before they gave them the slave Bible, they added information in there and took information out?
Well, they mostly took things out, but
Well, yeah, they definitely took things out, but did you know that they also added information in there that they thought was right? Were
yes,
you aware of that?
they edited the slave
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah. Like they made it to where they wanted them to know what they wanted them to know, right? Or
Right.
right. So the part about them about people having slaves and passing them down as property. You know, it was originally like the text was like it was originally it said the white man, not all men. It was saying the white man, like the only one that should be able to do that. Are you aware of that?
Sorry, do you mind just kind of getting to the upshot here? What is your argument?
So the point where you were saying about you know is he okay with God saying that it's okay to have slaves and stuff like that? Since I would argue that that part was added into the Bible, I would say that God didn't say that.
Which part are you arguing was added in?
The part about owning slaves and passing them down as property, I don't think that was an original text in the Bible. I think that was added in through this
Um,
hence the slave Bible.
well, the slave Bible was made, what, in the 19th century or late 18th
Well, yeah, that
century.
specific one, but I'm saying I'm just giving you. I was giving the slave Bible as an example, as how easy it is to add information in and take it out and spread it to the masses. So I was
Right.
just saying I don't
Oh,
think
I
it
see.
particularly
I
came
see.
from that point, but I'm saying I think it was added in.
I see. So I think the hurdle that you would probably have to argue for that effectively is that we have pretty good manuscript tradition that has it.
Right. But no, I'm saying it could probably date back a little far, but I still don't think it was an original text in the Bible. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, right. But I mean, I think you'd ultimately just have to speculate that.
Right. The same way
When,
And
when
that
do
you
you
could.
think it was added in there?
You said what?
When do you think it was added in there?
I can't really pinpoint when, but I would say it goes against a lot of the stuff that God teaches and stuff like that. So,
It doesn't
like
go
where?
against any other book in the Bible anywhere.
well, no. I'm saying it goes against a lot of God's teachings and stuff like that. That are
Right.
also in the
Like what?
Bible. It kind of sorry.
Like what?
For example, God teaches to love everybody how you love yourself, and obviously you wouldn't treat a slave how you treated yourself. So that's a major contradiction right there.
Well, I don't think
Another
it's
one
a.
is
Yeah, I don't think
God
it's a
says you shall.
contradiction. Well, hang on. So I
Sorry.
don't think it's a contradiction because I think if that were the case, like you'd have to argue that corporal punishment was added later as well for children.
Well, that's not really what we're talking about yet.
No, it is though, right? Because you like certainly today. I mean, I have 5 kids. There's no way in the world that I would lay a finger on them,
Yeah.
right? And I think it'd be very easy to argue that uh, doing that to a child physically would not be treating them as I would want to be treated,
hmm
right?
Right.
But so then under that interpretation, I think you'd have to then argue that the passages in the Proverbs about beating a child with a wooden rod must have been added later.
Yeah. Like certain stuff that completely goes against what you think like God would stand for. I feel like was added in by certain Freemasons and Freemasonry, just to veer people away from Christianity. Because if they seen stuff like that in the Bible, then they obviously wouldn't want to follow the religion.
I guess I'm confused as to what you're saying because, like, what you would have to argue was added later is like
Yeah,
major sections of Exodus 21,
yeah.
of
Because
Deuteronomy 15, of Leviticus
there's a certain
25.
group of people that control like what we see and what we eat and stuff like that in our entertainment industry. When those are the same people that created the Bible,
I
like
don't
a
know what
long
that
time ago,
means.
stems from the
So, like
same
in
family.
this, in the second century BCE, these people created the Bible.
No. Sorry. I'm sorry. Those are the same people that altered the Bible that we know today.
I don't know what that means.
The Bible
When
that
you
we
say
have
the
today
Bible we
isn't
know
the
today,
original
what does that
Bible.
mean?
Okay, let me explain. The
Yeah.
Bible that we have today isn't the original Bible that we had in BC.
What
And
does
that's
that mean?
because the people of, well, man has taken the Bible and took books out, added books in, and altered it. So we really don't know what the original text says. So anytime we go off like certain like Bible verses or scriptures that seem kind of bad, most likely those weren't even in the original Bible to begin with. So that's why
So
you
that
can't really take when most Christians say you can't take the Bible for fully what it's saying, like that's what they mean, because we really don't know if like I don't really know how to say it for real, but certain books in the Bible weren't originally there.
so let me just see if I'm
Yeah,
understanding. So like the book of Leviticus, let's just take one book for example. Would you
yeah.
say that Leviticus was in what you're calling the original Bible?
Um, Me, I don't have any way to know for sure, like which ones were originally there and which one originally weren't. Since I do know for a fact that over time man has altered it, then it's safe to say we really don't know which books are original and which books are added.
So you're not saying that Leviticus didn't originally say that. You're saying
Well,
that
it could.
Leviticus
There could
might
have
not
been
have
a.
been.
For example, Leviticus could have been in there, but who's to say that the amount of information that's in Leviticus was all the information that was in Leviticus? That's what I'm trying to say.
So I see. So one of the ways that we get at that, right, is we look at
Yeah,
things like the Dead Sea Scrolls, for
yeah.
example, or we look at the Septuagint, or we
Yeah,
look at the Samaritan Pentateuch, or any of these ancient manuscript traditions.
yeah.
And if they have this section of Leviticus 25, for example, I think it'd be difficult to argue that someone later added it because it's there in those early manuscripts.
Let's okay. For example, you used Leviticus 25, right?
Mhm.
So, do you know the last like number in Leviticus? Do you know what it goes to?
The last number,
Like the last scripture in Leviticus, what is it labeled under?
it's somewhere at the end of chapter 27.
So could there, for example, have been maybe 35 or I don't know 37, and the ones that this certain group of people that control everything we see and hear found a way to either take them out, because
Right, but then we wouldn't see, when we when we compare that to the Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, we would expect to see something different, right? In other words, let's say the Leviticus, or let's say a book ends at chapter or at chapter 30, okay? And you're saying, how do we know that 30 was originally there, right?
right,
Okay. Well, if we go back to the early manuscript tradition, right, in the second century or the first century BCE, and chapter 30 is there,
right.
I think it's difficult to argue that somebody added it later.
No. You're missing the point. You're what you're saying is right. Okay.
Okay.
So if you go back and look and see 30 was for sure there, but I'm saying, how do we know that that's all that was there? Just because you see evidence of one, you feel me? We can't hear you, host, if you're talking.
I was
Apostle.
just waving at somebody.
You said something earlier.
It's
I didn't.
apostate, not apostle.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I thought
I
that was
like
an L up
apostle.
there.
Anyway,
I
so
like apostle.
if you know all this, quiet, quiet, Joshua. That's enough out of Joshua.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why do you believe any of this, Boston? If you just think it's been changed over and altered, like why believe any of it? If you can't tell what's been altered and what hasn't.
So like when you go, the word believe is a pretty strong word. Well, when you go and look like at certain scriptures, and you know like what God's message and what His mission was, and you kind of pick out the ones that align with His mission or His word, or like ones that align with the teachings of God. So if it isn't really, if you don't really think that this would be a part of the teachings of God, it's safe to say that it wasn't originally supposed to be in the Bible anyway. Because like I said, it is a fact that man has altered the Bible over time. So you kind of have to really like look and see the ones that teach the way of God and not other ways.
So if I could throw a bit of a wrench into that, at the end of the book of Ecclesiastes,
Yep.
For example,
Yep.
The entirety of the book of Ecclesiastes, if people have read it, like in the chat, whatever, it's a very sobering. It's a sobering read. It's a little depressing, right? It's very nihilistic.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is at the end you have 3 or 4 verses that are sort of that sort of turn the whole book on its head. Mm-hmm. Right? Because everything in the book is about live life to the fullest right now, because this is the only one you get. And then at the end it says, but the big thing is do the commandments of God, right, and serve Him. And it's like, wait a minute, you get to those verses, you're like, what the hell? Where'd this come from? Like, this is completely different. And like academics in the field are, like almost unanimous, if not unanimous, that these are verses that are added later to the text.
So what is the earliest like would you say document of it being written that about him saying about the slaves? Like when do you think that was first like documented? Like, is that in any manuscripts or anything?
Oh, I see. I think I see what you're asking. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of what we do in Pentateuchal research, unfortunately, is having to work from later text traditions and sort of hypothesize backwards, right? So we have obviously the earliest that we have are the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, so like, because like if you want to know what happened, you got to go back to the beginning, basically.
Right? Yeah. So, but fortunately, unfortunately, I guess whatever. Just because the earliest manuscript that we have comes from the 2nd century doesn't mean that was the earliest that it was written. Yeah. So most scholars would say that Exodus 21. The laws there about slavery are the earliest that we have, and they, I don't know, maybe they come from the 7th century.
Exactly.
Maybe the 8th, I don't know.
So it's safe to say that we don't really know if that was originally in the text or not, which is a safe argument to say. It isn't outlandish to say that.
I guess I don't know what you mean.
Well, would it be safe to say that the chances of it being added into the Bible later are above 20%? Will you say, or 10%?
If you mean later, like at Qumran, like in
when I say later, I mean
BC?
wasn't in the Bible, wasn't meant to be in the Bible originally, and was added in by man, just like the other 4 or 5 books that were added in by man.
I think that would be a difficult argument to make, and I'll tell you why. So you'd have to make it for not only Exodus 21, but you'd have to make it for Deuteronomy 15, which seems to be responding to Exodus 21. And then you'd have to make it for Leviticus 25, which seems to be responding to both Deuteronomy 15
exactly. It's kind of like when you say a lie, you have to keep up with the lie by telling more lies.
I don't know that I would say it that way. I guess what I would say is that Exodus 21 has a set of laws about slavery, debt slavery in particular.
Yeah.
And Deuteronomy 15, the writers or scribes are modifying that law in such a way so as to bring it into alignment with their theological positions. And then Leviticus 25 is looking at both of those traditions
Yeah.
and bringing it into alignment with their theological position. But all of those have early manuscript witnesses.
Okay. So basically, the only thing I just came up here to say was like, you can judge any verse that you want to, but just try to remember that the book itself was altered over time. So what the verse you might be judging might not be originally what God's way was. That's just something. That's just a little food for thought that I just want to throw out there because you guys like to.
I agree. Like I agree with you in principle that I mean, obviously these texts were edited over time. There's no everybody agrees on that.
Yeah.
I think the premise that we are or the people that we're debating with most frequently, and apostate, you can correct me if you think this is wrong, but the people that I engage with most of the time are people that hold to this as an infallible, inspired text as it stands.
Yeah, that's why you have to kind of teach people, like, without breaking down their religion. You kind of got to teach them that not everything in the religion is originally not everything that they think is in the religion was originally in the religion. So, like, kind of try to do it without like degrading their character, or you feel me, or degrading their religion. Just try to teach them that it was altered so they can learn what to dissect and what to take as law. You feel me? Because there is certain stuff in the Bible that God teaches, like, that nobody would question. Like, most of the stuff in the Bible just teaches you how to be a good person and teaches you life lessons, so you don't have to really go through them. But other stuff in there, it is questionable. But I feel like most of the questionable stuff is just like it's trash.
So
It's
like
garbage.
the bad stuff and the stuff you don't like was added in later.
Well, if it doesn't align with his original teachings, then that points to
what were his original teachings?
Like I said, one of God's original teachings was to treat your neighbor how you would like to be treated. So if I see other stuff in the book that doesn't align with that, then I would think in my head that it wasn't originally supposed to be there.
Like Leviticus, right?
So what are you referring to in Leviticus?
What you just said. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's Leviticus.
Yeah, sure.
So unless you're saying Leviticus was an original teaching and then saying stuff was added, you see how it's getting complicated already?
Well, you see how there's multiple verses. Like, that's why I said they could have added certain things in and took certain things out. So that verse right there, that love your neighbor, the how you love yourself, that, for example, could have been originally in there, but a verse that comes later that says about slaves could have been added itself, not just throw the whole entire book out, is what I'm saying. But I'm saying the book was altered itself. That's all I'm saying.
But Boston,
have you ever met Joel read the Bible?
You said what? I don't want y'all to get all y'all hard friends in here now. We just having a
No. I just want to ask.
They bringing the sweats out today.
No. When you say the very first Bible, or the very, like, because when you say Bible, which Bible? Because the first Bible was the.
Well, I didn't say anything
Bible.
about the first Bible, so.
But you keep saying how things are changed. But if everything has changed, the first Bible was the Gutenberg Bible. And so and before that, everything was on scrolls.
Well, how do you know that was originally the first Bible, though?
You can research it. I don't understand. Wait a minute. Everything we learned, we had to go research it somehow, right?
Yeah.
So when you go look at what was the first printing press,
right?
You come up with the with the Gutenberg press made by Jonathan Gutenberg. Okay.
So now that Bible that you're referring to right there.
Bible. Wait a minute. We're talking about printed material.
Yep.
Okay. So understand when the Bible that you have now is that was automatically redone because the first book ever printed was the Bible. The first book ever printed was the Gutenberg Bible. So everything after that is a reprint or someone else's interpretation.
Okay,
Am I
I
correct?
see.
Now this
I
is
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I'm
But
only
just give me a
saying
second.
I'm only saying what's researchable.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not saying I'm not now what was written on scrolls, everything was interpreted. Whether now remember things are lost in interpretation because if unless you get in the people that can
I
actually
actually
sit
knew
down
you really don't know.
and tell you with every hieroglyphic, with every marking, then
Yep.
everything is just best guess,
Yep.
which I like to call intellectual masturbation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Speaking of intellectual masturbators, Joe reads Bibles here.
excuse me.
That's true. I am an intellectual masturbator, Eddie. So
Hey,
thank you
hey,
for
listen.
thank
It
you
makes
for
I just make it
everybody
acknowledging me.
private.
listen. It makes everybody feel good. Let's keep it real. But the reason why I clicked on it here, on there, right? Because this other guy that was on there, he kept saying how God sent his only begotten son, how God sent his only begotten son, and I'm like, why does everybody keep saying that when it clearly says in the Bible that God had other sons? It says it. I mean, it
That's true.
teaches.
Are you a Hebrew Israelite?
Nope.
Are you talking about us?
Nope. I'm just one that just take. I look at everything. I live my own life, but I do. You know, it's funny how no one seems to ever touch on that. You know, it does read
I
in
got you.
John
Well, you're
3:8.
not a
Hold on.
Christian or an
Nope.
Israelite?
Nope. I'm not none of that. I don't
Well,
follow. I don't follow. I'm not going to follow something that I don't. There's some ugly verses in these books.
yeah, we hear you, man. Thanks for coming up, by the way. But we're just looking to talk to the Christians or BHIs like
What were you
Boston
saying,
here.
Joel?
I was just going to
Yeah,
say that, like, there's a couple things I wanted to say, Boston. One is there's a simple solution to the problem of what was necessarily originally in the text and, how it was altered. Just to say, hey, it's all written by men, right? So now there's no real mystery to it. It's just like, yeah, men wrote a horrible book with bad ideas, and they may have been what was originally in there. There's no God involved. And then you don't really have a problem of trying to figure out what the all good God really meant and what was originally in there, which we can't know, right?
Yeah, there's literally no way to know, like, over time.
Yeah,
Like the way that everything, how long it's been, and the way that everything's happened. There's no way to know what was originally in there and what was added in.
for sure. And the other thing I wanted to add, because we just narratively in the book, and Joshua would have had more insight as to like when things were written. So what originally was, at least the oldest whatever they are, scrolls that we have or what have you. But anyway, in the narrative, even as early as Genesis 17, that's when God does the circumcision covenant with Abraham. And he says to him, make sure you circumcise your slaves. Like, circumcise everyone in your household, circumcise your slaves so that, whatever, they can eat, I don't know if eat sacrifices or something. I don't know if he mentions that there. But the point is that he doesn't say don't have slaves. He doesn't say let your slaves go. He says, here's the circumcision covenant. Make sure you circumcise your slaves. So I don't know how early in the story we're supposed to go to find out what God really cared about and what he was interested in. But that's pretty early, right? That's way earlier than Leviticus. So these are the things that, like, I would say, does God like slavery? I'm gonna give you one more and then have you respond. In the story of Joseph, he actually orchestrates that whole thing. You remember how he orchestrates that whole story, and then that results in all of Egypt becoming slaves. It results in Jacob coming to Egypt and the Israelites becoming slaves. God is pro-slavery. If we look at like the book at large, we don't even have to zoom into individual verses and wonder when they showed up in the text. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So let me ask you something. So let's say for example, we're reading a book that came out, let's say 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving you an example here, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we're reading a book that came out 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The published version of the book has like a lot of myths and stories and fantasies and fairy tales and a lot of stuff that is just in to let you know that it's a fantasy book, right?
Right.
But the unpublished version of the book that was wrote first, that's not published by any author. I mean, not published by any author, but not published by anybody, has just straight facts and truth, and everything in there is real life, and they claim it to be real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you take the information from the book that's published because it's published, or would you go off of the book that is the original copy?
I would say that if I only have the published book,
Mhm.
I can't assume there's an original that isn't full of all that nonsense.
Exactly. So when you're reading the Bible and you read a verse, there if you know in the back of your head that there's a possibility, even the slightest chance that this verse could have been added in later on, then I wouldn't necessarily veer my entire self away from the religion. I would just take it as food for thought and move on to the next verse, because I know that there is at least a slight possibility that this could have been added in at a later time. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I think there's
It's called the scrapbook mindset.
Yeah, so it obviously the book is completely like full of errors and
Yep.
it's changed and all those things.
Yep.
But the problem that I would run into if I were you, and the way I would think of it if I had your perspective, which I think is a good perspective to have right now, and I think it's a deconstructing perspective, honestly, is to say, like, if there were an original God, if there were a God, how could we possibly know his heart and what he cares about? What, like, you're presupposing that the slavery would be something he doesn't like, but how can you presuppose that? You would never be able to know. He could be pro-slavery. He could love that Abraham pimped his wife.
Well, that's why I go back to the part where I said, what was God's message? Like, what
and his
were
message is,
most
I
of his
want you
teachings
to be
about?
my slave. I love slavery. I want people to be enslaved to me. I want them to be enslaved to righteousness. And then throughout the whole Old Testament, it's just like pro-slavery everywhere. So you'd have to like rip out tons of the book. Like you'd have to,
and that's
remove
where a lot
so
of
much
people
of it to
don't.
get
That's
rid
where
of
a lot of
slavery.
people don't want to dissect. So they would just rather say, yeah, we have to scrap the whole book. It's been messed up. We have to scrap this entire book and scrap the whole religion based off of the errors by man. So basically what I'm saying is, like, we're basically punishing ourselves by not seeking more information.
No, I think that
rather than
I think that the way you got to look at it, Boston, is like kind of if you step outside and you go, do you believe in a triomni God, like all good, all knowing, all powerful? And then he writes, he has this book that he decides this is the one way I'm going to reveal myself to all the people in the earth. And I'm going to leave it susceptible to man augmenting it and changing it and whatever it's called, ruining it, making it bad. What kind of weak, pathetic God is that? And how irresponsible is it of that God that he needs you to sift through to find out who he really is amongst all the slavery, genocide, and misogyny? That seems so counterintuitive to me.
So if I told you that I gave you free will, but I controlled everything that you did, would you have free will?
No, you wouldn't have free will.
You wouldn't, right? So it's kind of like God. Like if he puts you here and he says, I'm gonna give you free will because I trust you and I made you, I created you. I'm gonna give you the will to do whatever your heart desires. But there are certain things that you shouldn't do because this is of evil and this is not of me, your creator. And you should run away from these things no matter what, right? If you decide to go do that evil and alter or change anything or do anything bad, that's with you because you had free will. You could have chose to do good. You could have chose to do bad. When you had the will, God already knew what you were gonna do, right?
Yeah, but
So,
Boston, hold on though.
huh?
Hold on, because now
Right,
I'm a soldier,
right.
okay, and I see a beautiful captive,
Yep.
and I take her and I rape her. You would say that's wrong, right?
Well, for example, like, would
Just
you
let's
want somebody to do that? Would you
It
want
seemed a
somebody to do
lot like
that?
a yes or no question, though,
yeah.
Boston.
Of course, I wouldn't want somebody to do that. So it's wrong, right? It's wrong to rape a captive and force them to marry. I mean, it's against the law. It's illegal.
It's against man's law.
Yeah, it's against our law. We've decided that it's wrong to force a woman to marry you that's a captive, right?
Yeah.
But would you say that would be a sin against God?
Well, if you committed any of the 7 deadly sins, then I would say that's a sin against.
It's not. I don't think it's a 7 deadly sin. It's just one of those things. Anyway, my point is,
well, lust. Well, you could if
you're not going to commit to anything.
Lust.
I get it. Look, Boston. The thing is that, like, in the Bible, it says to do that, right? And we can say that that's been added later. But if I don't know that to be true, and I read the book and I go and commit the sin, then it doesn't really have anything to do with my free will. Like, in my free will, I've decided to follow the book, but I'm still sinning because the book's corrupted. So
well, that would fall under deception and being deceived.
Yeah, so I can't be blamed for the things that I do as long as they're in the corrupt book that God allowed to be corrupted. And you think that's the responsible thing?
If you were deceived into doing something that you thought was wrong,
yeah, by the book that God signed off on.
Right. So if you were deceived into doing something that was wrong by somebody else,
yeah,
and you stood before a grand jury, do you think you would get prosecuted?
Probably. I think so.
Well, sorry, not a brand. If you were deceived into doing something and it came out in court that you were deceived into doing it, do you think you would get time?
I don't really know that much about it. You don't. Ignorance isn't it? Ignorance is no excuse. Of ignorance of the law is no excuse or something.
So yeah, you can't pretend you don't know it. That's probably what God says too.
I'm just gonna tell you, if you were deceived into doing something wrong and you thought you were doing something right, then you can't be punished for that.
Yeah. So you think that the slave traders in the antebellum South were innocent?
So if they actually believed in their mind that what they were doing was of God, and
of course
this was his actual teachings,
it's in his book, right?
Exactly, but like I said, like, let me finish. Like, if they were deceived into doing something of evil, then they couldn't really be prosecuted into that. If they had no. It's not
that. It's not that. It's that they were good people, Boston. They were good people. They were following the book that you believe. Like, yeah, it's been there's deception stuff. They were just deceived, but they were good people. They were doing what they thought was good.
Exactly.
All right, that's a bizarre worldview there, buddy.
Very strange, yeah.
So, like, it's kind of like when you eat.
Just hold on, just a second, Boston. FC, are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Christian, and I've done research in economics.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you can definitely come in. Yeah. Yeah, Joel likes to be intellectually masturbated. If you would like to.
No, I don't tend to do that. But I'm an intellectual, and I support the Bible. I take a more literal view.
Oh, good. Oh, you're a masturbator too. Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not assuming the scripture's been changed significantly. I think what's missing in a lot of these discussions from the likes of Joel and others is probably a weak or a naive understanding of the economics at play. And so there's certain assumptions around what slavery means. For instance, there's also a lot of conflating it with more modern day forms of slavery, and not an allowance for any nuance. So I'm not saying I have an authoritative answer to everything, but for instance, I would say one thing I'll put out there that is not saying it's conclusive knockout blow, but something that people don't think about, that me studying slavery like analytically and economics analytically and biblical economics technically, I thought about, and this is one aspect. If you looked at modern day, say America or the UK where I'm from, and you looked at the economic system we're under, most of us don't own land. Okay, most of us don't yet. We don't own our own, like, significant amount of land where we grow our own produce, for instance, or have our own cattle. If you look at the biblical idea of slavery, even in just the Old Testament, the concept of liberation or freedom was stronger than we have today. So there's two aspects. One, it's a stronger concept of slavery. Two, we accept forms of things that we accept de facto forms of slavery today that are essentially equivalent or very similar to what happened in the Bible. And we don't call them slavery because they're not transatlantic slave type slavery. So, for instance, whether the prison system or even the benefit system, i.e., like national insurance, providing of welfare, these are very similar to slavery. We don't.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
We don't call it.
Yeah, but we're talking about chattel slavery, the same as the antebellum South, owning people as property. That's not up for nuance in the Bible.
Yeah,
God's okay with that.
But even people say there's arguments made that the prison system in the United States is a form of that. It's
not. It's not though.
Well, you could.
Do you know what sweat equity is?
So I'm just saying, people can make that argument, and they can make that argument that, in effect, when you have a welfare system, people are owned by the state.
Just slow things down a bit. Maybe you should show us scripturally what you're talking about, because you just making these broad claims doesn't mean anything.
I'll explain it. I can't remember the exact text.
If we go look at Leviticus 25, I think it starts in 46 or whatever, and we read that somebody can own a foreigner and pass them down as property to their children. How is that like welfare? Or whatever you were saying, or how is it
maybe
like
not that specific,
going to prison for something you did badly?
Exactly. What happens is, in the Bible, when you have people falling into slavery, often it's because of hard times. Like you mentioned the story of Joseph.
That's fine. We could also say
can I just finish the point?
My point is this. Is that you speaking in broad terms, doing apologetics with, by the way, a beautiful accent, and you're very articulate, so it sounds really good, but it's still the same old apologetics that we hear every time that is based on nothing, right? Yes, there is indentured servitude. Yes, there are different forms of slavery, but there's also chattel slavery, which is, ethnicity-based, just taking from other tribes. There is also slavery where you go into a nation, you offer them peace if they don't accept it, or if they do accept it, you make them your slaves and they pay a tribute to you. There's many different forms of slavery. Yeah. You go and you take over a country or a town or a tribe or whatever. You keep them as your slaves, and they work for you in the nation that used to be their home. There are many different houseborn slavery. You can give a woman to a man to fuck, and then you keep her and her children as slaves. There's tons of different slavery, and all it's horrible, horrible. And what you want to do is just sort of go, no, it's all this good kind of slavery, which is nice, and it's just equivalent to the prison system.
No, Joe, I'm not really just saying that. I'm saying in general, a lot of the slavery in terms of what happened in the Bible was because of things that we haven't solved today. If people fall into poverty and they can't sustain themselves, that was a cause of slavery. If people have done something wrong...
Wait. You understand that debt slavery is forbidden in the Bible, right?
What I'm saying is there was a system, so every 7th year there would be, you meant to let slaves go free, for instance.
No. Leviticus completely forbids debt slavery and says you can have chattel slaves as long as they're foreigners.
What I'm saying is the sense of liberation, for instance, in the sense that if you look at the idea of slaves being set free, like fellow Israelites on the 7th year, that was part of a system of liberation that related to the Sabbath, for instance.
Yeah, but only if you can not trick them into fucking a wife you gave them, so they have to stay for life.
I'm just trying to make the point.
But you're again.
If I just make the point is that
we hear the point,
if I just make the point,
yeah, we already heard it. You already made it.
No, I'm just trying to.
You made it when you.
Hold on. Let him finish.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you can come back in again. What I'm saying is, even today, we don't have a sense that full freedom, like say the Jubilee, where you own your own land, where you have full autonomy. We don't actually have that today, but yet we wouldn't call people slaves. And I think even that nuance isn't understood when you're debating people. You don't really appreciate that the aspect that the sense of freedom in the Bible is stronger than we have today, and that
Right. I've got two things to say to that. One is, do you think that God on high has a solution to the problem?
Yes.
Right. So do you think he gave these laws to those people?
Yes.
Do you think he could have given them the solution to the problem?
Yeah, he did eventually with Christ, and he's going.
No, he didn't. If he gave them the solution, we'd have the solution right now.
I'll give you the answer to that, Joel. The solution hasn't fully come yet. We've got Revelation, we've got a whole new heaven and a new earth where we don't have these problems. So we haven't actually reached the solution.
No, I'm talking about like an earthly, temporal solution that God must know because he's infinitely wise.
It is a temporal, it is a real solution that is to come.
Yeah, my point is that he probably, if he did exist and wasn't just a bunch of men writing a book, he could have given that solution back then, but he perpetuated slavery by saying that should happen. And then the second thing I'm going to say,
Joe, you haven't let me really answer. Is it a rhetorical question, or was it?
Well, he didn't finish saying the second thing yet. He has.
Go ahead and just say the excuse why God didn't.
I think you've just ignored. Yeah, you've just skirted over my answers. The point is, even if you look at Hebrews, for instance, a Christian look at Hebrews, it will say that the law was like essentially something temporary. Or if you look at Galatians, a temporary fix until Christ comes. Christ has come, yes.
No.
No, God didn't. Hold on. Let him finish.
I'll finish my point. I'll just finish.
Yeah, God didn't say that shit, but go ahead.
I'll finish the point. I'll make the point that, as in my understanding of the Bible, if you look at Galatians or you look at Hebrews in terms of the law, it wasn't meant to generate perfection. It was there temporarily until Christ comes. And Christ's role isn't fully, yes, he's come and died and risen again, but until Revelation comes, a new heaven and new earth, there is no perfect solution to all this yet.
Mm-hmm. So David said that it was a righteous and eternal law, and Deuteronomy 11 says that the law is forever. But that's nice that whoever anonymous writer wrote Hebrews disagrees with that. That's great. But the thing is that we know God could have given a solution for that time, which wouldn't have resulted in any sorts of slavery because he would have known how to do that because he's infinitely wise. He didn't, so he's still like doing something that's less than ideal, less than desirable. And that shows that it's probably more likely people than it is any kind of God. So, John, but this is what I wanted to do to move forward.
But we just have a different position. Fundamentally, you don't accept, say, my view on Christ, his role, Revelation.
Well, it's not doing anything for the time. Like the time, he could have done better then. That's all. And if he could have done better then it's not God.
Yeah, we just have a fundamental different opinion. It doesn't mean that you're more right in that.
I'm correct and you're wrong.
Well,
because if people were enslaved,
way harder than you are.
If people were enslaved because of something that God said, like the laws that God gave, that's a bad, right? And if he could have done it where people weren't enslaved, he could have given some wisdom, and so no one was ever enslaved, and that would be a better.
That is true.
If he didn't do the better, then he's a failure. And then if he's a failure, he can't be God.
This is a different opinion. I see Christ as the law pointing towards Christ's work. You don't. So obviously, we have a difference there.
Those are words that don't mean anything. But anyway, this is what I want to say.
Doesn't mean that you're correct on that. You just don't accept that.
Guys,
I'm going to go now, but it's been good talking.
Okay, hey Joel, I ain't gonna lie, like you got an interesting point of view. Like I ain't gonna lie, like the way you like think about it is kind of true at the same time, but you have to also take into account like what I'm saying though. Like
I hear what you're saying, Boston. I just think that like if you follow that train, it's going to lead you to the correct place, which is that like people wrote this.
Yeah,
and God has failed. Like if God was involved in writing the laws, he failed. Yeah. If God allowed the book to be completely tampered so we don't know what is of God and what is of man, then he failed. And you can't have a failure of a God.
It's kind of like the book itself. The book itself has failed. Yeah, you're right. Like the book itself and everybody, mankind has altered it. So we're the ones that technically failed ourselves, was what I was saying earlier. But if you really like break it down, everybody.
Yeah, at some point somebody was reading this book and they're like, "Man, this is just way too good and perfect." We got a bunch of people shit in here.
Exactly. So whenever you're reading something. That's another reason why I feel like we were all designed with this moral compass to know based off when we're born what's essentially right and what's essentially wrong. I feel like that's the exact reason that we were given that sort of like intuition, or
Can
some
you
would call it
apply
like
that to God though? Because yesterday you seemed to struggle with that greatly.
You said what?
I say, can you actually apply that right and wrong to God though? Because yesterday you seemed to struggle greatly with that
Well,
concept.
yesterday I wasn't quite struggling. I was just kind of trying to quite get you to a point.
Struggling.
No. I was trying to get you
were
to say.
like a fish on
I
the
was trying to
ground.
get you to a point to where you could say what I needed you to say, and it worked because I got you to say that you believe in God, right? And so that was the whole joke, like in itself.
Boston, I
So
would
it was
say
just a joke.
Well, I wasn't really being serious when I said, "Well, my job here is done," and I left. Like it was more so like a
Well,
joke.
I got you. It was funny, but
Yeah.
I mean, still, like you just ran when it comes down.
But can I just suggest, Boston, that you have these like claims that are being made here without any evidence? So, for instance, you're like, God's law, we have this intuition written on our hearts. But when we look around the world, we see many different people with many different intuitions. And even the people that had the perfect Bible in front of them, as apostate Ape just said, they look at the Bible and they go, oh, this is perfect. The law that's written on my heart is now, like, my intuition is to change it and add slavery in, which is weird, right? So there's no evidence really of what you're saying, and we see evidence of the contrary. In the same way, we don't see evidence in a book of any sort of divine intervention or God being part of this book because it's full of horrible things.
Exactly.
So we just you keep presupposing something to be the fact when we don't have evidence of it, and we don't know what the heart of the God would be because we can't see it anywhere. So this is why I would just abandon it entirely.
So that mindset right there, like that you're saying, so like you kind of saying like I see errors in this man-made book here. I see errors in it, so I'm gonna just scrap the entire creator of the universe. Like that's kind of where I don't really see where you're coming from, because
we need evidence.
Wait, just let me finish. Allow me to finish.
It wasn't done mentally masturbating yet.
Yeah, but look, like if
let him shoot
if you
his load.
if you like do your research and you see that most of the signs in this universe point to a creator or a divine creator, right? Then it's safe to assume that most of these 500,000 people or 500 million people that were on this earth 100 years ago, before we even got here, it's safe to assume that something happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but something happened. If we have a lot of people saying one story about this God that supposedly sent his son down in human form and resurrected, and there's about 12 different religions that have the same exact message of, not message, but have the same exact entity or deity dying, and then later, in a later time, rising up from death. There's about 12 or 11 different religions that have that. So it's safe to say that we know something happened, but the story itself got altered. So whenever you read these books about Christ, or like telling you how to like live or be a better person, and you see stuff that doesn't quite align with what you know the teaching was, then it's safe to say that you should question it. And that's what everybody's doing. They're questioning stuff that's in the Bible because it doesn't align with what they think God should be.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it. You shouldn't really, because you don't throw all your research out whenever you like you saying you're throwing out the whole book, right? But there are some good teachings in the book.
We just
like
don't
on Hump
have.
Day, Dump Day.
Yeah, dump the book. We just
there's some teachings in the book that literally teach you how to be a better human.
Boston,
that's why I say you shouldn't really throw out the entire book.
There's barely any decent teachings in the Bible. It's pretty useless, and it's antiquated. Like, we're way beyond it now, ethically.
Right.
But
yeah, like, it is a little outdated.
I'm talking
about again, we're blaming God for something of man.
If there was a God, his book wouldn't be outdated, right? he would be timeless. He'd be ahead of the curve all the time. He's
Right.
always with the curve or behind it. That's why there's an
Right.
evolution in the ethics of the Bible, because the evolution of the people, like the people evolve. But my point is that we don't have the like foundation of who God is to compare anything to. So we're all blowing in the wind here, trying to figure it out. Which, I mean, I obviously don't believe in God, but there's no foundation. So, but you guys keep on trying to do that. You go, there's a perfect God. He's good. He's all powerful. He's all knowing. And then he's the creator. How else could this happen? So that's where I would say Boston. And I don't want to do a, divert
So what?
too much
So what
here,
do
but
you
I just
believe
want
then?
to
If
hold
you
on.
don't believe in God, what do you believe?
Don't wait. Hold on. You talk for like 45 minutes. I just want to point out that like the
40
quote
seconds,
unquote
but
creation, the natural world is very messy, and it doesn't seem to be something that was made by someone perfect, right? If I have a windpipe and a swallowing pipe or whatever that results in not swallowing
Little
cum,
masturbation.
Hey,
Boston.
yo.
Why do you have to make it rude?
No,
Anyway,
we
if
just
it
got to throw a little
results in
pause in
me
there.
gagging on, choking, 5,500 people die every year of choking because those pipes are close together or whatever.
All right.
So my point is that shows that there's not really a
True.
perfect creator at the helm. So when we look for the evidence of the claim, we don't find it. When we look at the creation, quote unquote, we don't see like an intelligent design. We see a really messy creation here that no idiot would make. You know what I mean? And then if we look at the
that
law
an idiot
written
would
on
make.
the heart and the morality written on our hearts, we see that's so different. And there's a lot of people who think slavery is okay. All right, well then there's no intuition there that we can point to. If we want to go look at the book to see if the divine God sent us a message, well, we don't know what in there is from God. So we're flopping in the wind. We don't know if there's God anywhere. We don't know what it could be. There's no evidence for this thing. So everything falls apart, Boston. You should just dump it.
So if you don't believe in God, then you would have to believe in something else. So that comes to ask me the question: what do you believe? Because if you say that something is not true, then you have to give the alternate version of what you believe to be the correct or the true way. So, what would that be?
In what regard? Because I believe that reality exists.
Well, everybody,
I
you
worship
have to believe
science
in
and
reality
safety.
because we're all
Personally,
here.
I like them too.
But
Do you
this is what I'm saying.
science,
Like,
Boston?
huh?
Do you like science?
Do I like science?
Yeah, you should try worshiping science. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, I like science. Science was my
Well,
best.
there you go. See,
Science
you
was my best subject.
You like science. You dislike God. You should worship science.
Yeah, I'm not much of a
But-
science guy, but I do think it's a good methodology to come to truth. I don't do a lot of science. Like, I'm not really smart that way, but I do respect. I think it's important, right? There's a reason why I'm talking to you on a phone right now.
So did you know that?
Yeah,
did you know
praise
that that we're made that all the atoms in our body are made up of 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons?
No, I don't know anything about science.
I don't either.
So basically,
I worship it, but I don't know much about it though.
You're such a Christian for science.
so you know that you see
Never
that
read a
number right there,
science book, but I
That
think
was just
all
me.
of them.
That was
Six,
uncalled
six,
for. I don't know where that came from.
Sorry, Boston. You were doing some numerology.
He said I'm
here.
making shit up. You clearly don't know shit about atoms and
But
anatomy.
what, were you going to do
Can I
like some
respond to that?
sort of fun number game that's
was
not going to
mentally
mean anything?
masturbating.
Well, I was gonna
Can I
point
respond to the
to.
Adams
He
claim?
said something about science, but there have been plenty of scientists that say that science points to God.
It,
No, that science claim though that the atoms that's not actually true.
no.
What?
What are you?
So
Do you
the-
worship science?
We
Garrett?
weren't. We're talking
Absolutely,
about. We're
I
talking
do.
about carbon, but all right.
So,
Well, you said
you're
every
not a
atom in the
Christian,
human
you
body.
worship science, Garrett?
I
No,
didn't
I'm
say
not a Christian.
anything.
I couldn't see the words behind the guest frames. I'm sorry.
But-
I didn't know if.
Oh, no worries. No worries. We got you there. Boston, are you almost done mentally masturbating yet, or?
Oh yeah. I was done. I just wanted to know, since he doesn't believe in God, what does he believe in?
I think that like we have a natural world that we can understand and appreciate practically, and until we have answers for things like actual answers, we shouldn't fill those gapes with God. That's what I believe. It's pretty
Okay,
straightforward. I believe that
so
when my car tire is flat, I don't
mhm,
pray.
mhm,
I pump it with the air compressor that I bought.
mhm.
So it's pretty
So
straightforward.
like you don't, I don't think you're
It's a wild
understanding what I'm
thought.
asking you. Like whenever, like for me, if I say I don't believe in God, right? For
Mhm.
example, I do believe in God, but I'm just using an example. Let's say I say I don't believe in God, right?
Right.
If for me not to believe in God, I would have to have another belief as to why I don't believe in God. Like,
Yeah.
for
So
example,
you can
you said
reject.
everything was natural, right?
Mhm.
So the Bible says that God is the one that created the earth and the heavens and the universe, right?
Right.
So if you don't believe that to be true, then how do you think it was created?
I'm not sure. I don't think. First of all, I don't know that
So
it
you
was
don't,
created.
huh?
I don't know that it was created technically. That like for me, creation implies like there's a
Well,
mind, some sort of intention, somebody
it's a
creating.
fact that life has to come from life. So in order for there to be signs of,
That's something you'd have to prove.
well, we're
So
proof
do
of
you
that.
mean
Life has to
biological
come from
life?
life, huh?
You mean biological life, right?
Well, when I say um life has to come from life, I mean something dead cannot make something that is living.
So
And
you
something,
mean biological life can only come from biological life, right? Or biological
well,
life.
I don't really want to add that
What
word
kind of life are you talking about?
I mean all life, anything that is living,
Biological life, right?
anything that's living, not just biological.
Is there any other type of life form that's not biological that you know of?
I would point to and say, all right, well, I'm not gonna answer that because they're gonna start roasting me in the comments, and you already know how this is gonna go. That's why
Well,
you're trying to.
there's only one type of life, my man. It's biological life. So
Well, would you say God is biological life?
no,
No,
would you?
exactly. That's why I'm saying not all.
Well, then your argument's kind of mute there, isn't it?
Huh?
Your argument's moot. It's moot
How is it moot?
because you're
What the
saying
fuck?
life can only come from life, which we're biological life.
Yep.
So unless you're saying God is also biological life, then you have to
No,
say
that's what I'm saying.
biological
God
life
is
comes
not
from some other
biological
sort
life.
Special
of life,
pleading.
right?
Special pleading.
Yeah.
I know I already knew where you were going with that. That's what I'm saying. God is
Boston.
not
If there
Oh,
were
so
biological.
you knew
these,
I trapped you, so you refused to
No,
answer
no,
the
no, no.
question?
You were trying to trap me in
Oh,
this box, but I didn't go into the box to be trapped.
I think
I know you
your
were.
worldview is trapped. Your worldview is trapped. If there was these two 13-year-olds who were raised in a bunker, okay,
Right.
and they escaped one day and they were running
Mhm.
around and they found a backyard where in the window there was this apple pie, this warm apple pie. And they didn't have any frame of reference because they had grown up in a bunker. They didn't know, but it smelled nice. So they go and they just like eat this apple pie and it's delicious, but they go,
Yum.
where did this apple pie come from? This is the most delicious thing I've ever had. This is miraculous. And the
Mhm.
one 13-year-old, because they were raised in a bunker by a cult member, they go, God made this apple pie. That's the only possible solution because we don't have any understanding of where this apple pie came from. God
Mhm.
must have made this apple pie. Right? Does that
Mhm.
mean God made the apple pie just because they don't understand how pies come to be?
I like your analogy, and I'm about to flip it right back to you.
I know that
I thought it
someone
was
makes
really
the pie
good. I
in
love
the
apple pie.
Nah,
analogy. I know that someone
you
makes the
made a
pie in the
really
analogy.
tasty analogy, and I'm about to flip it right back on you. All right.
Uh-huh.
So like you said it with the pies, right? And they automatically point to the only way that this pie could have been made is by God, right? They would have to bring evidence, right? You can't make a claim without evidence, right? So you would have
We're
to
about to
find
flip it right back on you.
you would have to find the evidence of there being somebody else that didn't make the pie, right? So for example, if they go into the house and they see that there is a pan and the oven is still hot and they see a lot of ingredients that's used to make apple pie,
But
then
they don't have any
they
frame
would
of
see
reference,
that
Boston.
somebody else made it
Boston, they
based
don't
off
have any
of
frame
using
of
their
reference.
evidence.
They're 13 and they were raised in a bunker. They don't understand anything. My point is that just the other kid just goes, I don't know. He just goes like, I don't know. I don't know how this came to be. I don't understand it. I don't have enough information. So I'm just going to say, I don't know. The other one says, it was God. Now,
Right.
I think the one kid's more honest. He's saying, I don't know. I just don't know. The other one's going, it was God, because when I don't understand something yet, when I haven't seen the evidence, when I haven't looked into it, I'm going to assume it's God. So you're the dumb kid that's saying the God thing. I'm going to be the smart kid that says, I genuinely don't know. I was raised in a bunker. I have no fucking clue.
Well, that analogy would work if God was revealing himself to people baking pies. But that analogy is not going to work because
Well, you're presupposing.
first of all, if
what the
they
Bible
walk up
says
to a
is
window,
true,
if they
but
walk
you
up
know
to
the
a
Bible's
house,
not
right?
true.
If they walk up to a house and they see a pie in the window, right?
Uh-huh.
And you said that they were 13, right? And they lived in a bunker, right?
Right.
So they obviously know what food is. They obviously know what eating is, right?
Mhm.
So because they made it to 13, so they have to have eaten something, right? So if they see it sitting in the window, I don't really think that
All
they
right,
would
so
just
Boston,
assume.
let's not get too bogged down on the analogy. You get my
Well, yeah,
analogy
because
is
it doesn't really make sense. Like
when somebody looks at something
if I walk
and
up
they
to a house
don't
and
know
see
where it comes
food,
from. Okay.
if
And
I
they
walk up to a
don't,
house and see food in
if
the
you walk up
window,
to
then
a
I'm gonna
bush and you
obviously
see
know that somebody
berries,
put it
that's
there.
food too. Okay.
Huh?
If you walk up to a bush and see berries, that's food too. So how are they supposed to
Right,
know that
but a
food is always
house and a
made by
bush are
people?
two different things. A house is a
Yeah, but they're
man-made.
from a bunker. They don't even know what a window is.
But if I see a structure made of wood, right? If I see a house that's built with a perfectly placed pie in the window, I don't think anybody's first assumption would be, "Oh my God, it's God! He put a pie here for us."
Boston, you
That's why
understand Sorry, go
he
ahead.
ruined his analogy. No, I was
Yeah,
just going to say he ruined your analogy. That's not how it
You
went.
did ruin it. The analogy is just basically when we don't know something. I was using
just
something
wood.
rudimentary here, Boston. If we don't know something,
Sorry, I'm
we
reading the
shouldn't just
comments.
assume that it's God, right? There's no reason for it. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't predict anything. It doesn't do anything for anything.
Yep.
So just like that kid applying God to the pie, which we all know where the pie comes from. That's why I brought it up. There's no reason to put God there. That's silly.
Exactly.
Right? So we just say, I don't know. So when it
the
comes
reason
to
that people that people have
exactly.
started putting God like there is because like there has been evidence that points to a God. They're not just doing it without
what's the evidence?
the
Yeah, let's hear
evidence.
that.
The evidence that points to a God or a creator is quite literally us.
Oh shit!
How does
I thought
that
you were going
work?
to say the Bible for a second.
All right, so listen, hear me out. Hear me out.
That would have been great.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Like I said, right? Life itself cannot come from non-life, right?
You
Do
mean
y'all agree?
biological life?
Do y'all agree?
We just don't
Well, he's trying
agree.
to trap me in that
biological
box
life?
again. He's trying to trap me in that box again.
But hold on.
Well, if you could clarify your blocks, that would be great, because this ain't just like a big wet box or anything. We need some more details.
So what non-biological life do you know that can come from non-biological life?
I don't know of
I've
any.
never heard of non-biological
Exactly.
I'm
life.
not a
So, like I
science guy, but I would say that you making the claim that it cannot happen would be something that you'd have to demonstrate somehow, which I don't think you can.
Okay, yeah, I can.
We
I can
we
demonstrate.
don't know.
I
We
can
don't know
demonstrate.
if life can come from non-life.
I can demonstrate. If I take a pillow and I make one pillow fuck the other pillow, they're not gonna have a pillow baby. That's because life cannot come from non-life.
I don't know if that's really demonstrating that. I feel like that's a fun story and it's
Was
fun to
that one
picture.
of those jokes you like when you made yesterday?
My bad. My fault.
But you're
I be
making
getting
this,
beside myself a little bit. My
fucked and
bad.
nothing came out, so it proves God.
My bad. My bad.
you're making this universal claim that I don't know that you can actually make.
He said, "Stop banging pillows as a test."
We know what you're thinking about, man.
Nah, chill. But nah, seriously though, like life can't come from
Chill.
non-life.
You
We
mean
don't
biological
know.
life?
Ah, there you go.
I
There you
think
go, right
that, I
Where'd you
think
go?
I'm not a science guy, but I think that like all the stuff that make us up, like make like all the chemicals and things, are
Yep.
not independently alive. So I think we're made up of stuff that's not alive, and because of the combination, we're alive or whatever.
You said we're made up of stuff that is not alive.
The way I understood it, I'm not a science guy, so
So let's
Like, can you
let's
only
do
get
a
a
plant for example,
tornado
right?
if two tornadoes fuck and make a tornado?
Well, what did you say? If two
Can you
tornadoes,
only, yeah, do you, it like, can you only have tornadoes if two other tornadoes fuck?
well, one a tornado isn't living, so
I know.
let's get that understood right there. Tornadoes aren't
I know.
living
We
creatures,
understand. We get
and
it. We understand that.
and
That's
for
not my point.
and two tornadoes cannot reproduce asexually. Well, I mean not asexually. Tornadoes
Well, neither
cannot
can pillows, but
huh?
neither can pillows.
Exactly, but that was my point.
Look,
My point was that
my
two.
point is that, hold on, you're not engaging with my point. My point is that you don't need two tornadoes to fuck to make another tornado. Certain elements meet in nature, and the tornado is the inevitable result of that, right?
Right,
So
the tornado
if
is formed
certain
by
elements
wind.
meet and come together in our body, life is the inevitable conclusion of that in the same way.
Well, that would be a good hypothesis, or is that whatever you want to call it? But we're made from sperm, which is living.
Oh yes, I forgot we're made.
So yeah, that would be a good analogy if we weren't a white liquid floating around in somebody's ball sack. Then yeah.
So does God have sperm? Does God have
Does
sperm?
God have sperm?
some people think that like life progressed or something like that, like that things got more and more complicated. But do you think everything poofed into existence out of nothing or something?
I mean, well, that would have to be your claim because you said that there's no God. So that would have to be your claim that everything poofed into existence.
I'm not a science guy, so I don't know.
I do worship science, but I don't know either.
But yeah, Joel. So like, if you believe that there is no God, then the event that would have to point back to you think that everything poofed into poofed here. We just all appeared.
That's not true.
Because I mean,
really think that, Joel?
if any evidence that you would point to had to have gotten here somehow. So, and then before that evidence would have to have gotten here somehow. Then that evidence would have to have gotten here somehow.
Right. Hold on a second,
the way
Boston.
back.
Joel, you can't possibly think everything pooped in from nothing.
Yeah, like please tell me that's not what you mean.
Pooped in?
No, poofed.
Yeah.
Poofed.
Well, like pooped in out of nothing. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think anything Putin out of nothing. I think that everything.
So you're there you go.
I think there was a wet box, but that's just my thing.
A wet box.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense if you think about it.
So let me kind of pick y'all's brain a little bit. So you know how the Bible says that the earth is flat, right?
The Bible's been corrupted. We can't.
That's why I'm giving
people
the
added
example.
a bunch of lies into it.
That's why I'm giving
they put
the
bad
example.
stuff in there, so we can't tell.
So listen. You know how like the Bible says that the earth is flat, right? So for when people hear that, they think, "What? The earth's not flat. The earth's round, right?" Mm-hmm. So what is our proof that the earth is round, right? That's
you're proof of that, Boston.
Okay, so prove to me that the earth is round.
Proof of that. You and I and Joel are proof that the earth is circular.
Amen.
So explain.
And rounded.
Explain.
I don't know how to explain that. That's just what you said earlier. When we asked you to prove God, you said like your proof. So I thought that was just something we say to prove stuff.
Just think about where we are. We're all in different places on the globe, and we all like are at a different angle because it's spherical. So just think about that. That's the evidence.
So when you say spherical, you mean rounded, right?
Yeah, like a ball, but like a little bit spheroid because it's not a perfect sphere?
So if
Like a pretty good egg.
so the
Yeah.
earth so you believe that there is a ball, right? And the earth, the sun shines on one side of the ball for a certain period of time, and then during the other side it just basically flips for 24 hours, right? And then once that 24 hours is over, that becomes a new day, right? So if that is what happens, right? If it spins at a steady
Wait, hold on
24
here a
hours
second. Are
at a
you a flat
constant
earther,
24 hours, right?
Boston? Wait, are
Huh?
you? I thought you were doing an analogy. Are you
No,
a
no, no,
flat
no.
earther?
I'm once again, I'm just giving an example. Just let me please let me
Wait,
finish.
just
It's gonna go
before you
somewhere. You
finish,
just
are
gotta
you a
trust me.
flat earther?
You just gotta trust me, bruh.
Can you just tell me real quick? Are you a flat earther?
I'm not so sure what that means,
Okay. You know what it means. Fucking hell. Okay,
but
so now I don't have to take you seriously.
look.
Go on.
If the sun is shining, right, then if the sun is shining on one side, and then for the other 24, I mean for the other part of the day it shines on the other side, right? Then why don't we have exactly 12-hour nights and exactly 12-hour days? If that was the case, because if it was at a steady 24, then that would mean that one side wouldn't get more than the other, right? But our days are well, moderately longer than our nights. So how would you explain that if it's a constant 24 spinning ball?
Why wouldn't you just like take that on faith?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you just take it on faith?
Take what? Sorry, you keep cutting out. Is that me?
I don't know, but you wouldn't just take that on faith that the world spins in 12-hour days?
Well, no, because we don't have exactly 12-hour nights and exactly 12-hour days. So, therefore, I would point that there
Are
has
you
to be.
sure? Are you sure that no one experiences 12-hour days and 12-hour nights?
Well, like I said, if we were all on a ball, we would all get the same exact amount
Well,
of
that's not true, because I was in Iceland and
right.
they have 3-hour days
Exactly.
at a certain season, and
So
that's because the sun
mhm.
is at a different, like the Earth's on a tilt,
Yep.
so it's not equal
Yep.
or even throughout
Yep.
all
Yep.
the areas of the world. But I
Yep.
wonder if there is somewhere where they have equal day and night. You should Google that.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, if it's a perfect ball, right? If it's a perfect sphere, right? Even if it's tilted, even if it's not tilted, the sun will still shine on one side of the ball and the other side will still have darkness, right? So that perfect 24 hours, which is another thing that was created by man, time was also created by man. It's just a social construct that we go off of to make everything easier. Another thing that's not real, but we go off of it because we were told by somebody else that
So
it's real.
what's the flat Earth answer to why Iceland has 3 hours of sun in certain seasons, and then other places have longer hours of sun and stuff like that? Like, how does it work for you guys?
So not so much flat, but kind of like kind of think of a plate when you bend it slightly. So it's still rounded, but not so much round, and it's still flat, but not so much flat. So bend it the other way, your other left, Patrick. There we go. So
So it's an arch. We're
yeah,
on an arched
there
I
Earth,
you
get it
go,
now.
there you go.
and some of us hang off of the side of the arch.
Not so much
Or
hang.
we're slipping, that we could slip.
Not so much hang, but so when you go to Antarctica, which is supposed to be on the top, not Antarctica, Alaska, right? Which is supposed to be a straight line from Alaska when you get on the plane, right? And you're going from Alaska to what was it? Hold on, wait, let me look one more time.
I just wanted to say, well, before he makes
Question mark
everyone
and said whoever just
makes
put a
everyone's
question
head
mark and said
explode,
time was created by
Boston,
man, you're
hold
slow.
on, yeah.
Hold that. Keep looking
So,
that thought up there, Boston.
yeah,
We had another middle masturbator join us here.
Obviously.
Boston, it's just the case that
Thank you.
have you ever heard of like the solstice and the equinox? Do you know what those are? Yeah, you better
other
run.
other
Go.
other man-made things.
But do you know what they are?
I know it's made by man, therefore we shouldn't trust it.
What is it?
The same people
But
that
in here,
said we went to the
Boston,
moon.
the Bible is made by men, so we shouldn't trust it. Good point. Go on.
Exactly. That's my point, though. That's my
Yeah,
point.
but
I've said that before.
the solstice and the equinox are the names of like real celestial events that happen. So we named them, but it's a thing.
How do you know that it actually happened?
I'm telling you, but do you know what they are?
How do you know that it actually happened, though?
They happen twice a year.
Well, you can't just say that they happened after I ask you, how do you know that they happened? You have
I'm
to
going to tell
prove
you,
to
but
me how you
I
know
want
that
to
they
make
happened.
sure you know what they are first. I don't know why you won't just say, no, what are they?
All right. So if you want to explain to the chat, you can feel free to, but I don't too much
You
care.
already know what it is? Okay. So you know that equinox is Latin for equal nights, right?
So did you know that
Just
you're
as a
bald?
smart person who has an idea of what's going on here.
Hold on, let me do my research right quick.
Praise science.
Yeah, you're just another one of those.
Austin, where's the honest interlocutor that we were talking to earlier? Don't be disingenuous.
Yeah, what happened?
I think Mezzo scared him off.
In Boston, it's the case that Latin words equinox mean equal nights, and there's 2 days throughout the year where
All right,
at
let me
the
ask you something. Who
equator
created Latin?
there is a
Who created
12-hour
Latin?
there is a 12-hour day
All
and
right.
12-hour night. It
All right.
happens twice a year
All right. All right.
at the equator.
Right.
And we call that equinox when
Right.
that happens. That's just
Right.
the name that they use for it.
All right. So who
The
created Latin?
The night is equal to day. So
you
the
pointed
thing
to
that you were
Latin. So who
saying, the
created
thing you
it?
were saying doesn't happen, does happen.
No.
We,
I said
we can
how
call
come?
it something
No.
else.
I didn't say
We
it
can
didn't
call it
happen. I didn't say it
cheeseburgers.
didn't happen. I said
We
how
can call
come
it
it doesn't happen?
cheeseburgers, Boston.
I said how
Call
come
it
it doesn't
cheeseburgers.
happen all the time? That's what I said. I said how come?
Exactly. Good
If it's
point.
at a steady,
Great point.
shut up. If it's at
Why
a
doesn't
steady
it
pace,
happen all the time? I
all
can
right.
answer
So
that.
you want me to let you speak, but you won't let me speak. So
You asked me a question.
I asked you a question and you didn't answer it. You went to a whole different subject.
Why doesn't it happen all the time?
I said who created Latin though?
The Romans or something?
Okay, so the Romans created Latin, right?
Well, Jesus did.
We can call it cheeseburgers. It doesn't matter what we call it. The point is,
are you gonna let me finish?
Let me tell you why it doesn't matter.
Oh
we
my
noticed
God,
that on Earth. We notice that on Earth 2 times every year there are equal nights and days, 12-hour night and days at the equator. And they're like, that's weird. That keeps happening on the same days every year. Let's name that something. They chose Latin names.
Right.
Doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
So if the Earth is really round, then how come we don't have any? How come we don't have any real pictures and not CGI? Some CGI bullshit. How come we don't have any real pictures of the round Earth?
We do. High schools have launched spacecraft that take pictures in space now. Anyone
those are all CGI fake.
You think
pictures,
the high school has their students CGIing pictures of Earth?
I want you to know that all of those pictures that you see on the internet are fucking fake. Like they're fake as shit.
You are Boston. We had a
would
good
rather
conversation,
believe the same
but you're out
people
of your
that told
goddamn mind.
Oh my God,
you're
bro!
out of your goddamn mind. I feel bad for myself because I was fooled this whole time to thinking you were an honest interlocutor, but you're a fucking insane waste of time.
So let me guess. You think that we actually went to the moon and landed there and came back and landed back on the Earth? You think that actually happened?
The moon?
Well, there's a lot of evidence that points that shit never happened, but y'all would believe that too. So you're just easily fooled.
Boston, you do not believe
those are man-made evidence.
That's nuts to say.
Name one evidence that we didn't go to the moon. What's one?
Okay.
Name one belief you hold that has evidence. This is nuts.
Now you said name one belief of evidence that we didn't go to the moon.
It can't be man-made. No man-made evidence.
No, all right, no man-made evidence, right? I'm gonna go off logic right here. So you know how long it took to build that spacecraft that they launched to the moon?
Spacecrafts are man-made.
All right. So do you know how long it took? Do you know how long it took for them to build that? So why when they landed on the moon, right? So they just so happened when they landed, they just so happened to land perfectly on the moon, right? So say they did land, right? They just so happened to land perfectly
No,
there,
that's
right?
not the
It was
story.
a little bit crooked. It could like correct it.
Yeah, like a little tilt, right?
No, it didn't
How
happen. Sorry, Boston.
how
No,
did
it
that
didn't
rocket
just
how
so
did that
happen that they
rocket take
accidentally
back
landed on the moon.
off? How did the rocket take back
It
off
had
from the moon?
boosters.
All
Did you
right, you're
see
talking
it?
about boosters, buddy. Do you not see all of the
So
shit that was on the rocket
what's
when
the
it first
evidence
took
that you're
off?
talking about? What's the evidence that you're talking
The
about?
evidence that I'm talking about is this picture, right?
Oh, that picture is man-made. You
Oh,
can't use that.
it says you can't turn on. It says I can't turn on I can't show the picture because I don't
You
have
can't
camera
use
access.
pictures. They're man-made.
So
Yeah,
Hold
the
on.
picture that they said that they showed everybody whenever they
Yeah, you
said that
can't
they went
use
to the
those.
moon. There's a flag in the background of the picture, right? The flag that he put in the moon when they got
Flags are
there, right?
man-made. You can't use
So
that.
so there's no oxygen in space, correct?
There's a tiny bit
There's a tiny bit of oxygen, right?
in
But
some places, yeah.
so
But the moon has a minimal atmosphere and low
so
gravity. And the
so
flag, by the way, had a vertical and a horizontal pole in it that holds it up.
all right. So the flag itself was flapping and like there was wind
Yeah,
involved.
things move in space, not just
All right.
in the wind.
Yeah, stuff can move in space, correct. But the flag
Have you ever heard
itself
of
was
solar
flapping,
wind?
right? The flag
Yeah,
itself was
it's like
flapping,
solar
right?
wind.
Okay, another thing, the footprint, right?
Austin, you haven't done anything yet.
Another thing, the footprint, right?
Hold on.
The
Sorry,
boots that they
one
wore,
second. Sorry,
the boots,
hold on. You
the
can't
boots.
keep your gish
Hold on,
galloping.
hold
Stop.
on, wait,
Stop.
nope,
You're
you stop.
jumping
You
topic
hold
to
that thought,
topic.
hold that thought.
You're jumping
So,
topic to topic. I have a question for 8.
whoa,
I have a question for 8.
well,
I
you're
actually,
not
and
gonna,
then I
you're
have
not gonna
something
talk over
really
me though while I'm
important.
talking though. You're not gonna talk
Boston,
over me
hold
while I'm
on.
talking though.
We need
We
to
all
take
have
things
to
really
All right,
exchange
and then he
slowly
over
tries to
here.
get multiple people to talk over me. Like
You
that's
got to
gonna
be
work.
quiet. That's
Yeah,
why you
just
got to
hold
be
on.
quiet
We're
now.
all saying stop for a second.
Well,
Apostate
if
8.
I
I
told
didn't
you to
mean
stop in the middle
hold
of
on.
your sentence, would you like it very
That's
much?
my
If I
man.
had just
That's
finished 50 sentences,
yeah. I was trying to
I
hear
would.
Mezzo.
I mean, you literally got to
Apostate
talk,
8,
and then it was my turn, and I didn't finish. So I'm
do
not
you
gonna
want
let you
to keep
talk.
talking about
No, I
the
don't want to keep
flat
talking
Earth
to
and
you
the moon?
if you're
I'm
not gonna
not
let me
talking
talk.
to you, Boston. No one wants to
Yeah.
talk to you. That's what I'm trying to figure out with Apostate 8. It's your live, and this guy's
Mhm.
like doing something way off topic.
Wait, so what did you
I don't
come
know
up here
if you
for? Because
want
if you're
to.
not a Christian, then you shouldn't even came up here.
Can I just bring something up here that is actually on point? And I just Googled this really quick, and this is mind blowing. And Mezzo, this is going to be news for you too. I know you haven't seen this, but
Show 'em, man.
they actually it turns out that in the 1970s they did experiments, and they've continued to do this, where they made life from non-life. They proved that life can come from non-life, but the Christians have been covering it up. They've been hiding the evidence so nobody can find it.
Pray science.
It
Pray
is a
science.
fact. They have done it, and
That's true.
the Christians don't want you to know. Did you know about this, Mezzo?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I haven't been able to see the evidence. There's a church down the street. I go knock on their door every Sunday and say, give that evidence over.
They won't allow it because it'll disprove the cults. But it's true.
I would like to see this evidence now. I would like to see this evidence now.
Go to church and ask them for it.
But they're hiding it.
Wait, I want to see the evidence. You made a claim. Now show me.
I can't.
They keep
It's
it behind
impossible
the
to show
curtain.
that. They won't let that. You know, somebody tried to show it
So
one time, and
you're making
they
a
got
claim
killed.
without any evidence.
It's behind a curtain that only the priest can see. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Well,
Man.
if that was the case, then how does he know about it? And where did
Why
he
They're
get
out
that
here and
information?
they're trying to silence us and keep us quiet and block us from.
Wait, so you just made a bold claim with no evidence to like where's the claim? Like, I mean, where's the evidence?
So why do you think the Notre Dame was burned down? Why do you think that happened?
It could have been because somebody didn't. Could have been because somebody didn't want the building there.
It's because they didn't want people to find the abiogenesis that they've been doing since the 1970s. That's right.
So,
it almost got out.
You made the claim, and I want to see. I want to see the evidence.
Why would you want to see evidence?
Hey,
your whole
worldview
is based on conspiracy.
Yeah, and also there's something
your
else I just thought
your
about.
whole worldview is based on evidence.
Boston, just a second. I just thought about something. They didn't have CGI back in the 70s.
Yes, they did.
So I mean, if they had
they did. It wasn't available to the public. Just like certain
No,
just
they
like
use
certain weapons,
they use
just like certain
Muppets.
just like certain stuff that they don't allow the public to have right away.
It
So
wasn't
it's like a
CGI. It
club,
was
like on strings and
Muppets.
stuff.
They keep it to themselves for a little bit till they learn how to control it. Then they give it to
It
the
suppresses
masses.
cruelty, man. Yeah.
They don't give everything over to the masses without learning how to first control it. So just
That's
like
why
in
they
movies.
haven't shown us abiogenesis, but it's real.
So how do you know that it's real if nobody's shown it to you?
Googled it. There's whole websites where people are saying. I think
Motherfucker
this was
said
called
Google.
QAnon atheist. I guess
So
this was called.
so if the same people that control your food and control everything that you see, you don't think they will control what you look up as well?
I don't know. I
that
guess
couldn't be possible.
maybe
People
that's
couldn't
true. I guess
obviously
we can't
control
believe
me.
anything anywhere, anytime. I guess. Good point. I guess we don't believe anything. Well done,
Exactly.
Boston.
Exactly. So therefore, all right. Therefore, we're all God.
The universe was pooped.
Therefore, we're all God in our own way.
All right, I got you to admit there's no God. I did it. I win. He admitted it. We're just all God. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Hey, Joel and Mezzo, everybody. Our heroes. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, what about them? That was to you. What's up? And we had to put Boston in the smokehouse there. Oh, I thought we had another person there. Yeah, how cool are they? Everybody, big thunderous applause in the chat for Joel and Mezzo. Joel and Mezzo, everybody. Yay. I don't know if anybody else is clapping Joel and Mezzo, but they probably are, but it could just be me. I'm not sure. But anyway, I think y'all are pretty cool. So, you know, even like Mezzo, I'm sure like in California, like they think you're pretty funny. But here in Alabama, we think you're fucking hilarious. We think you're fucking hilarious. And Joel, you read the shit out of that Bible. Talk about some mental masturbation. That guy does it, man. That guy does it. And they're funny. They're funny. It's funny mental masturbation. It's good. It's really good. Anyway, I'm only a moment from let's see, what? Oh, sorry, I had a message. Yeah, I don't have an actual request up anyway. Anyway, I was only a moment from having to go anyway, as my deadline was 11 o'clock, so we run it pretty much to the end. It was an amazing show. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget, our best friend is Dr. Joshua Bowen, who writes awesome books like this. And we've been learning Hebrew from him. And you can also learn Hebrew from him. You can sign up for on-demand courses, an in-person course that's coming up in a couple months at digitalhammurabi.com. And also, don't forget that the Rocket City Reason Conference is also coming up this October. And you can get your tickets for that at rocketcityreason.com. And come hang out with us. Also, I put all my replays on my YouTube channel, which is also Apostate Ape. So if y'all don't care, throw a player over there. Check out the replays. If you don't catch me in the morning, I'm usually on a couple hours a day. I can't do like some of these hardcore streamers and put in 5 or 6 hours a day, as I would lose my mind. But you know, I still do what I can. We keep it on the limits there. But anyway, guys. We are going to shove off for the day. Much love. What a cool show it was. Pretty damned awesome. Pretty damned awesome. Oh, I forgot to mention this evening, I believe I'm going to get together with Shadow Slays, my new homeboy, and we're going to do a dive into child sacrifice stuff coming up, right? And we're going to do at least an hour or two. Like, we're going to cover a bunch of shit. So if you're interested in that, I don't know what time or anything, but keep a lookout, because we're going to do a deep dive into human sacrifice and child sacrifice in the Bible. So that's going to be pretty sweet. That's going to be pretty sweet. But anyway, guys, much love. We will catch y'all back on tomorrow. Actually, I might come back in a little while, considering my days changed like it might have. So you might catch me some more here in just a little bit. But I'm signing off at least for now. So, guys, peace out.